Chinese President Xi Jinping held a video call with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin.
Symbolic day according to the Chinese folk calendar. Today marks the beginning of spring Lichun. After this, the frosts recede, renewal comes, and a new cycle in nature begins. And as for Russian-Chinese relations, it can be said with confidence that any time of year is spring. President Putin, my old and dear friend, I am very glad to meet with you at the beginning of the new year in this video conference format. Regardless of the international situation, I am confident in their strength and steady development in all areas.
Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping held a video conference on February 4, 2026, declaring their alliance a major stabilizing factor amid growing global turbulence as Russia and China conduct unprecedented joint military exercises from Alaska to the South China Sea, while America's closest NATO allies abandon Washington to pursue deals with Beijing. Amid the growing global turbulence, the foreign policy link between Moscow and Beijing has remained a major stabilizing factor, Putin said Wednesday in televised remarks from the two leaders' video call. We are ready to continue the closest possible coordination in global and regional affairs. Xi said that he and Putin would discuss plans for the development of bilateral ties and exchange views on major strategic issues. He noted the two countries need to use a historic opportunity to continue deepening strategic cooperation. The timing reveals everything. This happened hours before Xi's call with Trump. Share this with everyone immediately because what Putin and Xi announced on February 4th represents the single largest geopolitical realignment since the end of the Cold War. The world order America built over 80 years is collapsing in real time. Before we break down why Putin accepted Xi's invitation to visit China twice in 2026 and how their joint military exercises have increased 15-fold in the last decade, proving this is far more than rhetoric, subscribe to State's Brief Network for the analysis the mainstream media won't touch. Putin's foreign affairs advisor Yuri Ushakov emphasized that Moscow and Beijing support each other on key issues concerning national interests in the face of external challenges. This isn't diplomatic language. It's a declaration of unified opposition to American power. Ushakov said Xi invited Putin to visit China in the first half of the year, and the Russian leader accepted. Putin will also attend the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit that China will host in Shenzhen in November. Two Putin visits to China in 1 year signals permanent alliance. What security analysts discovered about the explosion in Sino-Russian military cooperation proves this alliance has operational substance. Between 2014 and 2023, the two militaries have held at least 4 and as many as 10 joint military exercises, war games, or patrols each year, including multilateral drills with other countries. Through July, there were already 7 such activities this year, with August and September drills bringing the total to 11. The frequency has more than doubled. Over half of their 113 combined drills since 2003 have taken place in the past 6 years. Moscow and Beijing are preparing for coordinated warfare against the West. Then came the revelation about joint exercises near Alaska that shattered assumptions about geographic constraints. It follows a raft of joint exercises over the summer, including near Alaska, where U.S. and Canadian forces intercepted Russian and Chinese bombers together for the first time, and in the South China Sea. China and Russia are now operating military aircraft together off American territory. U.S. and Canadian forces intercepted Russian and Chinese bombers together for the first time. The two nuclear superpowers challenging America conducted joint bomber flights testing North American air defenses. Here's where the military integration becomes operationally significant for U.S. war planners. In 2015, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said, "The most important issue of the Russian-Chinese military cooperation are the joint military exercises. Joint military exercises help Beijing and Moscow's armed forces improve their tactical and operational capabilities and increase their interoperability, enhancing their ability to conduct joint operations." Think about what operational interoperability actually means for American military dominance. The bilateral defense relationship primarily manifests itself across 3 broad areas of engagement: high-level military contacts, military technical cooperation, and joint military exercises. Under the leadership of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, Sino-Russian defense ties have matured to the point that some analysts claim the relationship constitutes a de facto military alliance. A de facto military alliance between the world's largest nuclear arsenals operating without a formal treaty means no Article 5 constraints and no predictable escalation ladders. What U.S. Indo-Pacific Command discovered about Ocean 2024 exercises proves the alliance has global reach. China sent several warships and 15 aircraft to waters off Russia's far east coast for Ocean 2024. In addition, Chinese and Russian forces this month touted deepened strategic coordination during joint naval drills in waters near Japan and held their 5th joint maritime patrol in the northern Pacific. Putin spelled out context in his video address launching Ocean 2024, accusing the U.S. and its allies of using the alleged Russian threat and the China containment policy as a pretext for building up their military presence along Russia's western borders, as well as in the Arctic and in Asia-Pacific. This is Moscow and Beijing's official justification for unified military action against American allies. But military analysts revealed the complexity of joint exercises proving interoperability for actual combat operations. Joint military exercises signal to third parties, particularly the United States, China, and Russia's strong commitment to each other's security interests. The Joint Sea Exercise series has increased in complexity and interoperability in recent years. During Joint Sea 2016, the Chinese and Russian navies conducted drills to seize and control islands and reefs for the first time, plus other amphibious air defense (ASW) and search and rescue operations. The two navies also used a unique command information system for the first time in 2016. They're practicing amphibious assaults together. Consider how European abandonment of Washington accelerates the collapse of American influence. Many of America's closest partners are exploring opportunities with China following clashes with President Donald Trump over tariffs and his demands to take over Greenland from NATO ally Denmark. The Xi-Putin call followed visits by the British and Canadian prime ministers to Beijing last month. The German chancellor is also expected to visit in February. America's 3 closest allies are cutting separate deals with Beijing while Washington threatens Greenland annexation. What trade data exposed about China replacing Western markets for Russia proves economic integration. European leaders have pressed China for years to end its support for Russia, even as Beijing has become the #1 trading partner for Moscow, which seeks relief from Western economic sanctions. Beijing is Moscow's lifeline, circumventing every Western sanction. Putin praised their strategic energy ties along with cooperation on the peaceful use of nuclear energy and high-tech projects, including in the industrial sphere and space research. Russia and China are jointly developing nuclear technology and space weapons. Then came Xi's declaration about historic opportunity, revealing Beijing's assessment of American decline. Since the beginning of the year, the international situation has become increasingly turbulent, Xi told Putin. He noted the two countries need to use a historic opportunity to continue deepening strategic cooperation. Xi sees American weakness as historic opportunity to permanently restructure the global order. Xi said he would like to work with Putin on a new blueprint for China-Russia relations on a day that symbolizes renewal according to the Chinese calendar. They're building a new world order. Russia's support for China on Taiwan exposes how the alliance threatens American treaty commitments. In March 2023, Moscow pledged to support China on the Taiwan issue in a joint statement released after a meeting between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. The statement affirmed Moscow's recognition of Taiwan as an inseparable part of the People's Republic of China, its opposition to any form of Taiwanese independence, and its firm backing of China's actions regarding the democratically governed island. Putin reaffirmed Russia's support for Beijing's policy on Taiwan, the One China principle, noting that the Kremlin fully backs and recognizes China's claim to the self-governed island. Russia will support Chinese invasion of Taiwan. What joint naval exercises with Iran and South Africa prove about global alliance expansion? China and Russia conducted a first-ever trilateral naval exercise with Iran in the Gulf of Oman in December 2019. China's state-run Xinhua news agency reported that the exercise aimed to deepen cooperation among the 3 nations' navies and enhance capabilities to safeguard maritime security. China, Russia, and South Africa held a second joint naval drill in the Indian Ocean off South Africa in February 2023. These drills not only signify the broadening of the Sino-Russian partnership to include third parties, but also serve to enhance their naval power projection capabilities in the Indian Ocean. The alliance is recruiting new members. Here's what retired U.S. Navy Captain Garrett Campbell revealed about Putin's long-term strategy. It has become resoundingly clear that the increase in bilateral military activities is directly linked to a shared strategic vision held by both Xi Jinping and Putin. Putin, incorrectly perceived by many in the U.S. national security community as a mere tactical opportunist, has committed Russia to a long-term strategic confrontation with the West. This isn't opportunism, it's generational strategy to destroy American hegemony. While Beijing and Moscow lack a formal treaty, they are aligned on challenging long-standing U.S. military dominance and seek to establish their own spheres of influence. Consider how Putin's February 4th declarations reveal unified assessment of Trump administration weakness. Putin and Xi exchanged views about their country's relations with the United States, Ushakov said, noting they practically coincide, including their assessment of U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace. Russia and China stand for equal and mutually beneficial cooperation on the basis of international law and the United Nations Charter, Ushakov said. This is code for opposing American unilateralism everywhere. What the timing of Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu's Beijing visit exposes about coordination. Putin and Xi mentioned the visit to Beijing last weekend by Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu, who met China's top foreign policy official Wang Yi. The two officials agreed their countries should maintain close ties in a turbulent world. Shoigu met Wang Yi days before the Putin-Xi video conference, proving this was pre-planned strategic messaging. The call may have been in part to reassure Russia that China's position on the Ukraine war hasn't changed. Beijing is signaling continued support despite Trump's Ukraine peace efforts. The scale of military cooperation plateaued, but remains dangerously high according to classified assessments. Despite a number of rhetorical flourishes at leadership summits, after undergoing a period of rapid expansion from 2014 to 2019, Russian-Chinese military cooperation has largely plateaued in recent years, with little evidence of continued expansion in either MTC or joint military activities since 2020. But analysts warn the plateau is at historically unprecedented levels. Since 2017, China and Russia have organized their military cooperation plans in 5-year roadmaps, with the most recent such plan agreed to in 2021 and lasting through 2025. A new 5-year plan is being negotiated for 2026 to 2030. Putin's declaration that any season is springtime in Russia-China relations exposes permanent alliance thinking. Putin said that any season is springtime in Russia-China relations. He praised their strategic energy ties along with cooperation on the peaceful use of nuclear energy and high-tech projects, including in the industrial sphere and space research. He specifically applauded China's decision to allow visa-free entry for Russians, a move that Moscow reciprocated. Visa-free travel between nuclear superpowers enables intelligence sharing and military integration. Think about what happens when European allies pursue independent China policies. Clashes with Trump over tariffs, threats to annex Greenland from NATO ally Denmark, and sidelining Europe from Ukraine. Peace efforts have led Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney and the UK's Keir Starmer to visit China in recent weeks. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is also expected to visit Beijing in February. The transatlantic alliance is fracturing as European leaders hedge against American unreliability by building bilateral relationships with Beijing independent of Washington. Joint technology projects reveal how deeply integrated the military-industrial relationship has become. Even as arms sales have become a less significant aspect of the overall bilateral military cooperation relationship, joint technology projects and trade in components have rapidly become the most important line of effort in Sino-Russian MTC. China and Russia are co-developing weapons systems that will be deployed against American forces. Russia and China demonstrate a high level of cooperation in military exercises and joint operations. Sino-Russian joint military exercises and operations underwent a rapid period of expansion in the mid-2010s, with increases in the frequency and global reach of joint activities and a transition to increasingly complex exercises designed to improve coordination. Historical context proves this alliance is unprecedented in Sino-Soviet relations. Moscow and Beijing were once enemies that fought a 1969 border conflict between the Soviet Union and a young communist China. But recent decades have seen a robust arms trade between the two, and especially as Xi and Putin tighten ties more broadly, a scaling up of military coordination. The fact they overcame decades of mutual hostility to build this alliance proves it's driven by shared threat perception of American power. One thing is absolutely certain. Putin and Xi have formed an unbreakable alliance backed by joint military exercises from Alaska to Taiwan. European NATO allies are abandoning Washington to cut deals with Beijing as American influence collapses globally. If this axis succeeds in recruiting Iran, North Korea, and other anti-Western powers into coordinated military action, the United States will face simultaneous wars across 3 continents that it cannot win. We will see what unfolds in the coming months. Stay tuned.